This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, this is Sherry Borick, and our goal today is to do a brief review of Actionstep billing. Actionstep has the capability to enter your time, create bills, and also have the opportunity to track receivables and even accounting, depending on the version that you're working with. With Actionstep, what you will see is within the program, you have the capability to see and create your time entries. So I'll just start off by creating a time entry so that you can see the components of it. In the top right corner, I'll choose the green button with the white plus. I'll go to make a time entry. When you make a time entry, you have a couple of choices. You can create time entries for other people. Today, I'll just make a time entry for myself. It does have the date and time. We'll choose our matter. In this case, I'm going to choose Chewbacca versus the Evil Empire. Once you've chosen the matter, you'll have the opportunity, depending on your preferences and security, to see their WIP, which is work in progress, as well as their accounts receivable in the right column. In moving our way down, we have an opportunity to choose some preset activities if we want to, and those can start off and give us some descriptions. I'll say that I appeared and attended the motion for trial evidence, and I have an opportunity to put in the hours worked as well as differentiate between the hours worked and the hours to bill. And so in some cases, I may have worked a certain amount, but I really don't want to bill the entire amount. We have a lot of flexibility with rates where we can create rate levels. We can also do, so a partner may have a different rate than a paralegal, which is pretty common, or you might have rates depending on their scenarios. Certain clients are at rate level 1 or rate level 2, or they're at the 2019 rate versus the 2018 rate. In this case, I'll just let that be the default. And we can, of course, choose to show it or keep track of it for internal purposes or no charge it. In this case, I'll just hit save, and I've created a time entry. So for those of you who are keeping track of your time contemporaneously, that you're tracking the information that is being billed on an hourly or transactional basis, you'll find that your timesheet will give you your list of the things that you've done for that day. You can see how much of the time that you have based on your goals, if you have any goals that you have set for number of hours per day. We can edit, create new ones right from here. We can also look at a summary. And so when I look at a summary, I can see, in this case, I only have one person, but I could see how many hours they may have put in for a particular date range, and include additional productivity information as well. Now, when I'm ready to do a bill, I can do it either on a batch basis or I can do it one at a time. So we just created a time entry for Chewbacca. Let's look and see what that looks like when we create a bill one at a time. I'll choose that particular matter. And in this case, I'm going to click on the calculator button, which is our billing button. And what's nice about this is that you can see at a glance all the information that you might need to know, including the fees that have been invoiced to date, which is our number here, including also our uninvoiced. We have some pending work in progress. I don't have any expenses on this particular matter, but those are also capable of being tracked. We have some outstanding amount due, and we also have some payments. Apparently, Chewbacca's case has not had a lot of payments in it. We also can track trust information. So if that is something that you would like to track, the amount of money that they have in trust, which will occasionally be applied to your outstanding invoices, that is capable as well. If I go here to the fees, these are going to be the list of all of your fees. And so we can go back and see the things that have been billed in the past. I'm just going to scroll over right here. These are all in a draft invoice, but as I go through, you can see some of these have been billed, and we have some invoice numbers as well. So you can see the history of all of the entries that have happened on a particular case. If I go to expenses, I don't think I had any expenses, so I don't have any here, but I could create a new expense on the fly by going to new and expense. And so we can see that I will choose to say that it was some courier information, and that was $10, and I will save that. We have some capability of having some taxes if that's appropriate as well. So now I have a soft cost. Actionstep does have the ability to track and differentiate between soft and hard costs. So if you are using the accounting piece, those costs can be allocated to your bills that you're paying. Going back here, we also have the list of our invoices. As you know, with Chewbacca, they've had some invoices in the past. And so I can see what their invoices are, what their balance is, what their status is, whether it was draft or approved, and then we can go from there. Chewbacca, as we said, did have one check of $300, but we don't have any new payments. From here, I could also create a new payment and or a write-off. Hopefully more payments than write-offs. And so last but not least, we have our matter billing options. Every particular matter has the capability of choosing things like, are we going to send this bill via email? And if so, to whom? What invoice template are we using? Because there are a variety of templates that we can customize. Are they going to be any specific flat fee or arrangement that encompasses the entire case? So in other words, no matter how much work I do, it's going to be a certain dollar amount. Also, if there is any kind of discounts, any custom rates or allocations of fees. I won't go through all of these in great detail here, but just know that there's a lot of flexibility with setting it up on a matter-by-matter basis. So if I go here to the billing overview, this is where we had our information, and I can see that this bill is already in draft. In other words, I've created it, I have it on hold, and maybe I have to have someone be reviewing it. I'll click on bills in draft. If it wasn't in draft, it would say invoice the bill. And so when I have a draft bill, or when I'm looking at creating a bill, this will give me the opportunity to see all of the time entries, whether they are fixed or hourly. And it will give me the timekeeper as well as the values. From here, I could click on any one of these and make any changes that I need to make. And I can click on save. Now, let's take a look and let's see what this bill looks like. And so if I click on preview PDF, you'll see that this bill has all of the time entries in it. Let's zoom that in so we can see it a little bit better. So we've got the date, the lawyer, the services and the duration and the total amounts, as well as the timekeeper summary showing what the rates were. Now, as I said before, bill layouts are extremely customizable, down to putting in a logo, including or not including certain elements, and this can be customized with your information. This particular matter also has some prior balances and current fees, as well as previous payment. So this will give us an opportunity to see all of the information, and we can either print or save that. I'm going to not do that. I'm going to choose to save and approve the bill. So when I save and approve it, essentially I am saying it is no longer going to be in my draft. It is ready to go, and I can see that it's in the bill production. Now, if I mentioned before that you can do this either one at a time, or you can do it in a mass billing. So if I click here under billing at the very top, and then I go to mass billing, this will give me a list of all of my clients that I might have information ready to go, and that I have a variety of different columns here showing me what the hours are, the fees, and if I scroll across to the right, you'll see that there's also other information about who I'm emailing if they have a previous balance, So really a lot of great information at the same time. If I go here to draft bills, this will be the list of the bills that I have produced, but I haven't quite finalized yet. And then the bill production is our last stage. And once we are there, we might be emailing the bills. We might email them. In fact, I'll show you what it looks like to email them manually. And then we can produce the bill showing we're ready to go, final last step. Now, another type of bill that you might want to create is a bill that has some fixed fee items. And so the fixed fee items might be, for example, if you're doing estate planning or trust, might be a simple one line item that says preparation of estate plan or so on. And so if I wanted to do something like that, I'm going to actually pull up, I've already created one called the Estate Plan of Betty White. And if I pull up Betty White, you will see, if I go to our billing, I have created a couple of different entries. But instead of creating the individual time entries, I've created a fixed fee entry. So what that looks like is very similar to our individual amount of time. I actually did put in a number of hours worked, although that will not show on the bill. And you'll see in the rate section, instead of hourly, I've put fixed fee. And I have designated that this amount is $1,500. And the same token for the trust, I have done a simple flat fixed fee rate as well. And so that I had 5 hours that I worked that I wanted to track, and I have $2,500. And the total of those two are $4,000. Now, notice at the bottom left corner, I see that it says invoice $4,000 now. It's not in the draft phase. It is ready to go. I'll click on invoice. For this one, I'm not going to choose the legal invoice one. I will choose the flat rate invoice that I wanted to save. And let's preview that one. So when I generate the preview, you'll see what the bill is going to look like. I've chosen to use a specific invoice template. And this one, let's zoom that in a little bit, is a little bit different. I don't have the timekeeper or the number of hours. I simply have a date, the services, and then the amount that is being charged for those services. So as you can see, I've also included a logo, and I might have other information that I will include. In this case, I have a statement of account, but maybe I have a footer that I want to use, or maybe I have other information. This allows you the flexibility of seeing exactly what you want and having the client see exactly what you need. So again, I'm not going to print this for our purposes, but let's say that we are going to save that as a draft. This bill is now in the draft stage. You can see that it's in the draft. And if I were to go to billing and draft bills, you would see that Betty White is on this list. We can tell what template it is, and we can go from there. So I'm going to say, let's approve this bill. It's going to post that. We're going to say, yes, thanks very much. And if I now look, I am now on the bill production. Now, I did say earlier I would show you what to do about emailing a bill. So from here, I can choose to email that manually, or I can do it automatically, but manually will give us a little bit more viewing of what it is. And I can see that I've got, this is the name of my environment. This would obviously be your firm name. Dear name of the client, here's your invoice, here's the information, and then it will send that bill along with a PDF of that invoice. And if I were to click on the two, I'd be able to say, hey, you know what, let's send this here. Because I've chosen Betty White and I've chosen to compose this manually, I do have flexibility of pausing, adding any manual information that I want to, and then I can send that off. Now, I am not going to send this to Betty White, but I just wanted everyone to see that capability. Along with billing comes, of course, the related reports. So I might want to see my accounts receivable, a list of bills that I've created, a list of information based on who has done the work, and those are all available in a variety of ways, but they're also available here under billing reports. For this purposes, I won't do that today. My goal is to simply show you how to either bill manually as a hourly, fixed fee, a little bit of an introduction to the mass billing options as well as bill production. One note here, if I do want to do mass billing, I can select many at a time and bill them all at once. So thanks again, everyone, for your attention, and I hope this was very helpful.